whole life has been money. I want money. I want money. Greedy. I was greedy, greedy. I want more money, more money.
Rhetoric is a way of presenting information.
So for Plato, rhetoric is the art of enchanting the soul, and for Aristotle, rhetoric is the faculty of discovering in any particular case all of the available means of persuasion.
In rhetoric, you have to really regard your audience.
Because as audience, all of your experiences are different. Hey Nicole, so in terms of the U.S. election of 2016, what do you think was, in terms of rhetoric, political rhetoric, what do you think was one of the most defining moments in the entire election, and why?
I think it was just Donald Trump's whole campaign, and he wants to make America great again. Because even though he's not a middle-class person, obviously, he's one of the upper echelons, he really resonated with the middle class, and he could be their savior, he could get them out of the mess they're in, and he could make America what it once was, the American dream.
So Donald Trump's convention speech is probably one of the prime examples of how he uses fear rhetoric through his aggressive sides as he attacks Hillary Clinton specifically, as well as he urges the audience of the dangers of illegal immigrants in a lengthy 1 hour and 30-minute speech. So according to Aristotle, an orator must know the kind of audience one is dealing with. So obviously in Trump's convention speech, he's speaking to a room full of Republicans, and he quotes, "Anyone who wants to go and listen to lies can leave and go to the DNC next week." Aristotle also heavily focuses on pathos, although he does claim that he understands why people use pathos, but it's not the most important thing. Logos is the most important thing. Donald Trump is evoking emotional appeal in order to attack the current Obama administration. This contributed to the outcome of the election, as Trump is famously known to directly attack Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration as the villains of any situation. This becomes a recurring theme in his political campaign. This is seen through enthymemes within the first 20 minutes of the convention speech, when he attacks President Obama for the deaths during his presidency, as well as he blames Clinton for being responsible for ISIS.
The fact that he was going to be running. So he made a speech where he stated several things. One thing really stands out to me was the statement, Mexicans are responsible for bringing in crime and drugs and the rapists. That's so racist. That is so racist to put that many negative connotations on a minority group in America. The thing that he mentioned, I'm rich. He essentially, with that statement, that's pretty much how he got the low and middle, a lot of the middle class even. I'm rich. I can get rid of debt, etc., etc., etc. He's promising he can make jobs because, hey, I can also run companies and we have jobs and I'm a billionaire. And he's essentially just saying, like, yeah, I'm totally going to get rid of your debt. I'm going to run this place like a business because a country's a business.
He's implying that they have ties to criminality and saying that they disrupt public safety. He also used, in this statement, Trump uses statistics as a tool of ethos, and which plays a strong role in proving his own credibility to the audience. It's interesting because the amount of statistics he gives throughout the speech almost becomes overbearing, and which in turns has the power to overwhelm the audience in accordance to his fear rhetoric. The more aggressive he gets on stage, the more statistics he throws to the audience, which eventually riles up the audience into cheering, "Build a wall," as well as they went chanting, lock her up, and then USA, USA.
Trump launching his campaign, the moment where he called Mexicans rapists, I think it set the tone and the direction for the rest of his campaign, especially when you compare it to the launch of Hillary Clinton's campaign. She had that 2 to 3 minute video or something on YouTube that was, very diverse and very inclusive, and then Donald Trump's making an off-the-cuff kind of comment about Mexicans coming to the United States to take people's jobs, and he calls them rapists. I don't know that him going into his campaign thought that that was going to be the direction, but I think that the response that they got, which was very upset liberals and people who reacted really well on the alt-right, or even just, regular Republicans who felt like they had been ignored for a long time, and hearing somebody be
sympathetic. In terms of rhetoric, what do you think was one of the biggest key moments in the entire U.S. election from, I don't know, it could be at the beginning or it can be till the end, so...
I would probably say the basket of deplorables speech was probably one of the most definitive moments for the election. She kind of alienated a whole group of people in that sense, and the divisive environment when she said basket of deplorables, and saying, I think the exact quote was she said about 50% of them fit into that category, so you're cutting off a huge portion of the population and sort of generalizing, and that's very dangerous in rhetoric, I think.
The basket of deplorables. So it's interesting to note that during the election period, I think that both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump both used fear rhetoric to further their advances into the election, but unfortunately for Clinton, her rhetorical strategy made her look unemotional and disingenuous, while Donald Trump was known to be brutally honest and politically incorrect. And so specifically in this basket of deplorables, and when she's caught in controversy by specifically saying, and I quote, half of Trump supporters are in a basket of deplorables. So here she's trying to evoke fear, but most importantly, Trump out by saying he has lifted these racist people up. He has given a voice to their websites, and she singles out his own rhetoric to be pain and mean-spirited rhetoric. She's calling out Donald Trump most of all for his poor taste of rhetoric, and she ensures that she leaves her speech on a positive note. So, in Clinton's defense, in this advertisement, the second part that the majority of media cut out was not as controversial as the first part. If anything, I believe personally that it made this advertisement come together. Hillary Clinton states that the other basket of people are just people who are let down. These people are the people we have to understand and empathize with. So, according to Bitzer, in order for there to be a rhetorical situation, you need to have an exigence, an audience, and constraints. So Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorable speech can be considered an exigence because it can be explained to be a forced response. So whether they wanted to reply or not, in Clinton's case, her speech gave Trump the exigency to attack in response to her speech. While she's making this speech, her audience are her voters, which are present, and her constraints are considered to be the other basket of people who are let down, people you have to understand and
There
empathize.
were a lot of really significant rhetorical moments in this American election. But something I think is really important to think about is the theorist Campbell's idea that although passion is the mover to action, reason is the guide. And we saw throughout the election a lot of candidates making a lot of logical arguments, but in the end, seeing that only the things that really made people passionate emotionally actually got anything done for any candidates.
I think that Trump's brilliant political maneuvering came in the form of him knowing his audience better than they know themselves. So he tapped into this underbelly that the States has that's all racism and all misogyny, and he legitimized it. But while I was watching him say those terrible things, I kept asking myself whether is this artful or is this artless? Is he really just flying by the seat of his pants and saying what he wants to say without thinking about it, without a filter? Or is this actually extremely calculated?
I think the most important moment in the American election was the second debate when Donald Trump says to Hillary she'd be in jail if he was president. And I think that's a great appeal to pathos, and supporters really
Grimace,
respond.
did you hear Trump's going to be our president? What do you think about that? Yeah, me too.